Hey everyone, welcome back to the Talking North podcast. A 4-point loss to Collingwood on Friday night all but seals our hopes of making wildcard in season 2026. A pretty flattening loss, primetime footy, Friday night, such a big occasion, and we fall just short, agonisingly short of what would have been an incredible win for the club, for the team. Would have really given this group belief that they could go on and make the wild card this year. But I think with the teams around us winning, the teams around us having favourable fixtures, hitting form at the right time of the season, and with our tough fixturing to end the season, I think to be realistic, wild card is gone for us, I'd say. And that's okay because going into season 2026, this was not our expectation. And as much as, we have been in the position the last month to maybe get wildcard this year, I think the pressure's gotten to us these last 2 weeks. And in some big moments, some pivotal moments during games, we've fallen short. And that's okay. I think the outside world has put this pressure on us. I think we put the pressure on ourselves. And I think the expectations of us are different to what we expected and to what the wider AFL community thought we should get. And I think we've got to stay in the present. We've got to stay humble. I think we need to understand that we're not there yet. And no matter what happens for the rest of the season, it is a successful season. 8 wins, improvement in every facet of our game, whether people want to admit that or not. Yes, the growth might not be as exponential as we want it to be, but it's definitely there. So I just want to start with that because some of the wording around our form, our season, I don't think depicts the growth that truly has been made by this group. And I think we really have improved this year. And I want people to understand that. And I need to remind myself that because losses like this really do make you forget sometimes. But let's dive into this game because it was an interesting clash. Going into the game, there was 4 changes made. George Wardlaw made way with his hamstring, which was unfortunate. But luckily for us, Paul Curtis was back from suspension. Goda and Cansani managed off a 5-day break, which I thought was understandable. And Will Dawson made way for Matt Whitlock. As well, forgot to mention Riley Hardiman and Zach Banch came in for the former. So it was a bold team selection from Clarko and the other coaches. I was pretty happy with it. Spoke pretty in depth about it with Josh on the preview podcast. And I think the changes were effective. You look at the performances of all 4 players, and I think they made more impact than the players that they came in for might have had. To start off with, Riley Hardiman, I thought was fantastic. Really was. Kicked his first ever goal for the club. Bit of a lucky, tried to kick an inside 50 from about 70 out and it happened to roll in, but credit to him. He was continually penetrating inside 50. I think he had a great performance, 15 touches, a goal. I thought he was excellent. So really happy to see Hardiman come in, and I'm hoping next week when Goda's probably back, I really, really do hope that Hardiman and Goda can play together because these two are the future of our backline. To touch on the possibility of that happening, Tom Blamires fell to a concussion in the second quarter, so he will miss next week. So there is a big chance that Goda comes straight in for Blamires and we can finally see Hardiman and Blamires play together. Sorry, Hardiman and Goda play together because I think Hardiman had a fair amount of time on the wing, which I thought was really good. I thought he had an excellent game. So just want to start off with him. The other ins, Whitlock struggled to impact, I'd say. But I didn't mind his performance. I really didn't. And I liked the fact that we didn't have the 3 rucks with Will Dawson. I thought that was messy, and I'm glad it cleared it up because in saying that, it paved way for an excellent Tristan Sherry performance. Maybe his best for the year, probably his best since the Geelong game, I'd say. 22 a goal, 32 hitouts and 5 clearances, as well as 6 marks and 7 tackles. You can't really ask much more from Sherry. I think him and Cameron had a brilliant battle. It was pretty even. Sherry had 5 more hitouts. Cameron had 4 more goals and 5 more clearances, but less tackles and less marks. It was a very even performance between those two, and I think they were two of the best players on the ground. And I think we were happy to play Sherry at centre bounce because Darcy Cameron is a similar ruck in the way he doesn't jump and leap at the footy like a lot of these newer rucks are, similar to Sherry. So I think it was a brilliant battle between these two. So I think Whitlock coming in had a positive impact on what else was happening around the ground and the fact that we didn't have to play 3 rucks. So I think Whitlock should keep his spot, though. He's a young kid and his brother is showing some great form at Port Adelaide. So I think the 2 games that Whitlock played last year, he got dropped immediately the week after. So I'd be disappointed if that happens again, because I think with some upcoming games, I think Whitlock can grow as a player. And up against a good Collingwood defence, he struggled. But I think the spacing of the forward line looked a lot better, and that gave opportunities to Larkey, Curtis and Darling, as well as Trembath. So I think our forward line worked better with Whitlock there rather than Zerha. I think Zerha down back was excellent. I think it worked. I do think it worked with Whitlock there. The other in was Zach Banch, who I actually think had a decent game. I think I've seen a bit of slack for him, but I do think he played well. He got a goal, 3 tackles, a lot of pressure acts. He probably should have kicked another as well. And I think he brings exactly what Constantine brings, maybe slightly less pressure, but he's a good finisher, and I liked Zach Banch's role in the team. How the game went, I think we played 4 quarters. Obviously, we played 4 quarters. Every AFL game, you play 4 quarters. But I think the 4-quarter effort, that's what I mean. I think it was there. I think it really was. And I think it was one of our more evenly spread performances for the year. So you look at the first quarter and it was riddled with Nick Larkey misses. And I want to touch on that because, yes, he ended it with the 3 goals for and kicked, 2 in the second half and built into the game. But it's becoming a problem, his goal kicking. It's not just the misses themselves, it's what happens when he misses. You look at the first quarter and his 2 absolute sitters that he missed, a set shot from 10 metres out pretty much at the start of the game, and that one he missed on the run in the goal scorer was just unacceptable. But you look at the aftermath of both of those misses. You know what happened? Collingwood scored. Literally within a minute of both of those. I think, obviously not Larky's fault that we weren't defending the ground, but I think the fact that they were able to score from kickouts immediately after Larky's easy misses, I think says a bit about what our captain missing such easy set shots and shots on goal does to the mentality of the team and the mindset of the team. And it really shouldn't, but it does. We've got to be honest with ourselves. It does. It has an impact, and it was really costly, and his inaccuracy trickles down. Other players start missing. We get in our heads. Larky gets in his own head, and it's really frustrating to see because he's playing decent footy at the minute. He really is in terms of his ability to find the ball. He was out marking Frampton for a lot of the game. He just gets in his head, and it's so odd to say about Nick Larky because in years past he's been the most accurate kick in the AFL. He really has, and again, he just had an off game in front of goals, 3 goals 4, kicked 1 out on the full pretty much, so pretty much 3 goals 5. You're not going to win a game if your key forward is going to kick that accurately. We've seen throughout this year, Port Adelaide with Mitch Georgiades and West Coast with Jake Waterman, games that they've had more points than goals. They've lost a lot of games, both of those teams, because of their accuracies. And I'd say this is the second week in a row that we've lost, not entirely because of Nick Larky's inaccuracy. I can't blame him fully, but it made an impact. It really did. And I think we got lucky in the games against Richmond and Essendon that the misses weren't more costly. But I think against the better opponents in Collingwood and Port Adelaide, they've come back to bite us. And I think we easily could have won these last 2 games and could be on a 5-game winning streak, well comfortable in the wildcard, but missed opportunities in both games and we sit, outside of the wildcard. So I I'm not sure what needs to be fixed. I'm not sure what they need to do at training to fix it, but it's so costly, and it sucks because I think we actually played all right. So first quarter, yeah, we're down by 6 points at quarter time. I thought we were playing okay, but again, I think we missed opportunities. It was a bit of an odd game, extremely open. Kind of follows into the second quarter. We win the second quarter by a point. Collingwood, I found were finding unmarked players around the ground way too easily. Their transition from back line to forward line was excellent, and it's not usually what they're great at, but they killed us a little bit in that facet of the game. We're probably lucky they weren't better going inside 50. I felt that they dominated general play in terms of moving the ball with ease, and it was partially them. It was partially their ability to hit the kicks, take the marks, but I think we struggled in preventing that, and I thought that was an issue. We won contested ball, won clearance as we expected, but it was their ability to move the ball at ease that I think was the difference throughout the game. So the second quarter, we win by a point, but we still go into the halftime break 5 points down. I thought we could have been ahead, but I think it was fair that we probably weren't. The third quarter was interesting. I think, again, like the trend of the last few weeks, it was our best quarter. We win the third quarter by 2 points, but Collingwood got out to their game-high lead in the third quarter. But our ability to bring them back in that third quarter was extremely impressive. You look at the goal Tristan Sherry scored from that stoppage clearance inside 50 was excellent. Haven't seen him do that for a long time. I thought we were great. I thought our ability to come back in the third quarter was so impressive. And that trickled into the fourth quarter where we started on the front foot. We got a goal in the first minute from Paul Curtis. We go up by 8 points. I thought we had this game. I really, really thought we had this game. Jack Darling has a shot, I think it was around 8 minutes to go, set shot directly in front right after we'd scored a goal, and he misses. And I just sat there and I was like, is that the moment? Is that where we've thrown this game away? I really hoped it wasn't. I really, really thought we could go and get another goal, but we didn't. We just led them back into that. We don't think we were punished. I don't think we punished them enough. I don't think we put the foot down on the accelerator like we could have. I think the game was ours to finish. We were on. We really were on in that last quarter, I reckon, for a lot of it. But a Jack Crisp goal on the run, some sloppy tackling efforts, not marking their players. It just got them back in the game. They'd cut the lead down to under a goal, and it stung right after the Jack Darling miss. And I just that was when the pressure really started to boil up. And then a Tristan Sherry mark inside 50, and it was a tough kick, but you got to make those. And I think if he makes that, we win the game. He misses, and then Nick Dacos just does what Nick Dacos does. He'd been pretty quiet throughout the whole game, and I thought Finn O'Sullivan did an excellent job on him. Jai Simpkin did really well on him when he was on him. Just want to mention Jai Simpkin, absolutely brilliant game, and I'm sick of what this guy has copped, what he cops. He epitomises this club, and I know he's not a captain anymore. I still see him as the spiritual leader of this team. He tries so bloody hard, and I can't credit Jai Simpkin enough this year. I think he's been absolutely excellent. After the rumours that came through last year about him maybe going to Collingwood, his ability to stand up in a game like this when George Wardlaw wasn't there, 32 disposals, 5 clearances, 5 tackles. It's just brilliant from a player that many probably think is past his prime. I think he's having genuinely one of his best years, on par with his years when he won the best and fairest. So I just want to give a shout out to Jai Simpkin because he's just putting in such a strong season, and I just couldn't be prouder of Jai. So shout out Jai. But yeah, back to the last quarter. So it was just this Nick Dacos opened up the game, and I was saying to my dad, I was in our seats, and I was like, I can just feel Nick Dacos opening this game up if we don't punish them. And that's what happens. You don't take your opportunities. You give these star players, these better teams, opportunities to take the game away from you. And if Essendon and Richmond and West Coast had better players, and a player of Nick Dacos's level and players of experience that Collingwood have, they would have won those games. We would have lost all of those games. But we play a better team. His run through the middle opens us up. Cameron finds Membry inside 50. A tough kick, but man, stuff him, but fair play to Tim Membry. You know, it's a clutch kick, and Sherry missed pretty much the exact kick like 2 minutes earlier. Jack Darling missed a much easier kick directly in front, maybe 5 minutes earlier. So it's those moments, you know, and that's the difference. And they stood up. Collingwood deserved the win. They were probably the better team. They probably were, but I think we easily could have won the game. There's been talk about the free kick out, and I agree we got some soft free kicks. I'll be honest, like we did, 22-11. But I really think a lot of our free kicks were just behind the footy. Like you look at it, our free kicks weren't really in imposing positions. You know, it was often just Collingwood would junk kick it and one of their players would be too physical and give away a free kick. You look at the players that got the most free kicks. It's Comben, it's Core, it's our defenders. Yes, we had a few questionable ones maybe. We had one with Whitlock in the goal square, which I don't think is controversial because you look at the tackle from Frampton. It's a sling tackle. His head hits the ground. Frampton got given a week. Knowing Collingwood, he's probably going to get it off, but that's a different discussion. I think the Collingwood fans, you know, in my comments, on the AFL comment section, just North had the umpires and they still didn't win. I don't think more free kicks correlates to umpires favouring a team. They favoured us at times, I agree, and that's why we got 11 more free kicks than them. But it was behind the play. It was. They were not in imposing positions. We probably would have got the ball anyways. You know what I mean? But I don't want to fuss over the umpires. They're not the reason that we lost. They're not the reason that Collingwood won. They're not the reason that we lost by less points than we could have. I think that's rubbish. I think it was actually a fairly well umpired game. I'm sure Collingwood fans would disagree. They can think what they want. They won the game. They were the better team. I think that's all that needs to be said about that. But yeah, frustrating loss. Really, I was pretty flat. I was pretty flat after it because not because I thought we couldn't win. It's because I thought we could. It's because I thought we should have. In the situation that we put ourselves in, we worked so hard after that. I'm pretty sure Collingwood went up. I think they were up by around 3 goals at one point in the third quarter. And we went on a run of around 4 goals in a row, I'm pretty sure, at the end of the third and the start of the fourth. We really, really worked our way back into the game, and I was very impressed with that. I really was. I think last year, the game was quite similar in that way that Collingwood started building a lead near the end of the third, then they went on with it and won by about 50. This year, we're different. This is where the difference is. It's our ability to get ourselves back into games, and that's what we did. And I was impressed with that. I really was. But we just didn't finish in those really important moments, and that sucks. It does. I'm not hiding that. I'm not going to use it as an excuse. I think we got to be better in those big moments, and I think in big moments we've been pretty good this year. You look at the Gold Coast game. You even look at the games, the Carlton games, we were massive in that last quarter. Even the games against the lesser teams, we finished them out. But Collingwood, although have not been great in close games this year, they have experience in past years on how to polish games off. And we let them. We let them come back into it, and we gave them the opportunity to take the game, and they did, which is the most disappointing part, I'd say. But overall, I actually think it was one of our better performances in a long, long time. In terms of this year, it's one of our better performances, and it sucks that we couldn't get the 4 points. And it probably draws a line for us to play wildcard, which sucks because it was exciting, the possibility of maybe playing wildcard because, September footy, it has been a long time. But I think we shouldn't let it dishearten us. I think that type of performance can get us wins for the rest of the season. I think if we had a performance where we lost by 40 points and, moved the ball slow and, weren't connecting well, it'd be much worse, you know what I mean? I think I think we can take some pride from a close loss like this. I really do. And I'm not settling for this. I know that we're better than this, and I know that we could have been better than this. And I think, Sherry and Clarko and all the players after the game probably were like, we should have won this game. And I think that's a good position to be in. Not, we didn't show up. We didn't play well at all. Collingwood dominated us, which is what we've said in years past. But I think our ability to match Collingwood for a lot of the game was really impressive. Worked ourselves back into the game. Gave ourselves an opportunity to win it that we probably should have taken. But to be in those situations, primetime footy, we just got to sit back and realise how far we've come. We wouldn't have done this last year. We wouldn't have done this in the last 5 years. We've improved. We have improved. And I know people don't think we have. We have. What some of the media has been saying is absolute rubbish about us not improving. And this whole talk about, North need to extend Clarko so he's not going into his final year in a contract year. Bullshit. Who cares? He's under contract next year. That's all that matters. Clarko understands where we're at. The only way Clarko leaves is if it's his choice. He wants to go. And that's fully understandable if he wants to go at the end of next year. What is the point in hiring an external coach? We're sticking with Clarko, but we don't have to extend him. We don't have to. So I don't see the point in extending someone before their last year. Whatever. And I was impressed with Sonia standing up to when Tom Morris asking her those questions about, you're going to extend Clarko, but she said, he's got 18 months left. That's all we care about. And so yeah, I think the Clarko talk needs to end. Who cares? He's going into his last year next year, and we'll extend at the end of the year, or we won't. And that's all we need to worry about for now with Clarko. But yeah, tough loss, really flattening. But I think we can take something from this performance. Next week against Melbourne, huge game at Marvel Stadium. Melbourne are a great team. They are definitely a better team than us. And what Stephen King has done with Melbourne is nothing short of phenomenal. They are a brilliant side, and I think it's going to be tough. They're a better team than Collingwood. They're a better team than Port Adelaide. They're a better team than a lot of the teams we've faced in the last month. Thank you guys for listening. Don't be too disheartened by that result. It really hurt me for a day or two. I'm starting to see the positives now of the game, and I think that's the way we've got to move with this one. I'm not accepting that losing is good enough. I'm not accepting that. But I am going to acknowledge that we played well. We did, and we put ourselves in a position to win it. So we move on to next week. Melbourne, winnable game. Let's just stick week-to-week basis and back our boys to perform. So, yes, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you for the next episode.